Most blocks in a game by a guard. 7 blocks. That's the number. And somehow 2 different guards have hit it in a single game. You'd expect that kind of shot rejection from centers swatting everything in sight, not guards. Doug Christie and Dennis Johnson are the guys here. Christie did it in 2000 while playing for Toronto. The game moved fast. The Raptors dropped 134, and Christie turned into a one-man wall. At 6'6" with a long wingspan, he used his size to shut down drives, contest mid-range shots, and mess up anything near the paint. The Nuggets shot 82 times that night, and 7 of those ended up flying right back thanks to Christie. Then there's Johnson, who managed 7 blocks as a point guard back in 1980. That's absurd. He was 6'4", not exactly towering, but made it work with timing and grit. He was already known for defense, but this game pushed things to a different level. No official opponent data survives, but it's safe to say someone had a bad night. 5 guards share the record, but Johnson's position and Christie's impact make their game stand out in a stat that's still rare. Most technical fouls in a game since 2005. March 30th, 2025 turned into chaos at Target Center. The Timberwolves and Pistons didn't just play basketball, they exploded into a 12 technical foul frenzy. That tied the most in a game since 2005. 7 people got ejected. Detroit's head coach Bickerstaff got tossed, along with Isaiah Stewart, Ron Holland II, and Marcus Sasser. Minnesota wasn't innocent either. Devo, Naz Reid, and assistant coach Pablo Prigioni also got the boot. And yes, there were suspensions. Stewart got 2 games because, well, let's just say this wasn't his first rodeo. The others got 1 game each. It all started with a foul in the second quarter. Holland hit Reid, then Devo grabbed Holland's jersey, and the fuse lit fast. 10 players, coaches, trainers, everybody joined the mess. Players fell into the crowd. Coaches screamed at each other, and security probably questioned their life choices. By the end, order returned, and Minnesota managed to flip a 16-point hole into a win, 123-104. But the scoreboard barely mattered. The record tied, the suspensions followed, and the league sent a loud message about defense, control, and consequences. Players with less blocks than Muggsy Bogues. Muggsy Bogues was 5'3" and still somehow ended his career with 39 blocks. Let that sink in. JJ played 831 games and only got 36. Same for DJ Augustine, who needed 976 games to also hit 36. Jack Vaughn managed just 31 in 776 games. They were all taller, but none of them got past Muggsy. That's wild. Barea stood 5'10" and was known for his offense, not his defense. His block percentage barely hit 0.2, and his highest season total was 8. He never had a game with multiple blocks. Augustine was even taller at 5'11" with a 6'3" wingspan. Still 36 blocks total. Vaughn was 6'1" and had the lowest total of all 3. His best season? 7 blocks. Muggsy had more despite being 8 inches shorter. It wasn't luck. Muggsy's anticipation, quickness, and timing let him pull off blocks against guys like Patrick Ewing. 39 blocks at 5'3" isn't just impressive. It's something none of these other veterans matched, even with extra height and years. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm going to be posting every day. Thanks. Anyways, worst plus minus in a season. Bub Carrington just etched his name into a very specific corner of NBA history. During the 2024 to 2025 season, the rookie guard from Washington posted a brutal -798 plus minus. That's the worst in a single season since the stat was introduced back in the late 90s. The Wizards got outscored by nearly 800 points with him on the floor. Every minute he played felt like a slow leak. Carrington played all 82 games, averaging 30 minutes per night. His raw numbers weren't awful, almost 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game. But the team around him? A disaster. The Wizards were deep into rebuild mode, rolling out a roster full of youth, upside, and zero consistency. They finished with a record of 19-63, and the lineups were often a crash course in losing gracefully. Carrington's -9.73 per 36 minutes eclipsed Dean Garrett's old mark of -756. That was from the 90s. Somehow, Bub managed to beat it. The team's final win came with Carrington hitting a game winner, which somehow makes this stat line even weirder. Longest made shot in history. Davis launched an 89-foot prayer on February 17th, 2001, and it actually dropped. This wasn't some circus trick during warm-up. It happened in a real game with 0.7 seconds left in the third quarter, and it counted as 3 points. Davis caught a pass near his own baseline, flung it with one hand, and watched it swish clean. No backboard, no rim drama. The Bradley Center crowd went silent, probably too stunned to react. At 6'3" with a 6'7" wingspan, Davis had the strength to pull it off, but even he was shocked. The launch angle was around 50 degrees. The arc peaked at 22 feet, and the ball flew for over 2 seconds. The make shattered the previous record of 84 feet by Norm Van Lier, and still stands alone decades later. Other guys have tried: LeBron, Vince Carter, Lou Williams, but none topped Davis' full court miracle. The odds? Basically zero, but Davis made it real, and no one's touched it since. Quintable single: 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. Only 14 players in NBA history have ever pulled this off in a single game. It's not flashy, it's just weirdly symmetrical. You've got one in every major stat column, and that's it. No double digits, no box, score stuffing, just a single drop of everything. The most recent came from Luka Garza, who did it in just 5 minutes on February 27, 2025. Somehow, in that tiny window, he checked every box. Rondé Hollis Jefferson matched it in 2021, and CJ Watson hit the mark in 2013 while playing 9 minutes for the Brooklyn Nets. What unites them isn't dominance, it's efficiency and chaos. We're talking about guys like Sean Bradley and Elvin Hayes, who had long careers, and others like Alexei Shved or Charles Jenkins, who had shorter runs, but still carved their name into this odd record. These aren't the guys who fill highlight reels. They're the ones who quietly did just enough of everything once. It's a stat line that's equal parts balanced and bizarre. Not everyone can score 40, but exactly one in each? That's a different kind of rare. Worst three-point contest performance. In 1990, Michael Jordan stepped into the NBA three-point contest and delivered a performance that's still unmatched for all the wrong reasons. He scored 5 points, not 15, 5 out of a possible 30. That's the lowest total ever recorded since the contest started back in 1986. Jordan was coming off a season where he actually shot a career best 37.6% from 3. But volume matters. He only attempted about 1 3 per game. So stepping into a rapid-fire contest with 25 shots and a ticking clock, yeah, that wasn't ideal. He hit 5 shots total, missed every money ball, and finished dead last out of 8 participants. Even John Stockton, a 20% shooter, that year outscored him. The format gave players 5 racks, 5 shots each, and that 5th ball in every rack was worth 2 points. Jordan made none of those. His 5 points came from regular one-pointers. The rest, Brick City. Everyone else in the contest scored at least 12. Craig Hodges, the eventual winner, scored 17 in round 1. Jordan, he gave us 5 in a reminder. Being the greatest ever doesn't mean you're built for a shootout. Most personal fouls in a season. Daryl Dawkins committed 386 fouls in the 1983-84 season. That's not a typo. That's the actual number. It's the highest single-season foul total in NBA history, and no one's come close in over 40 years. Playing for the New Jersey Nets, Dawkins averaged nearly 5 fouls per game, just 1 whistle away from fouling out on any given night. Despite spending that much time on the officials' radar, Dawkins still put up solid numbers. Nearly 17 points per game, 7 rebounds, and close to 2 blocks. He shot almost 60% from the field and played nearly 30 minutes per night. The man lived in the paint, both dunking with force and defending with, let's say, enthusiasm. He appears again at number 2 with 379 the year before. This wasn't a one-time thing. It was his brand. The league was rougher then, and Dawkins was right at home in it. He even shattered 2 backboards in one season. That's why the NBA had to install breakaway rims. The fouls, just part of the package with Chocolate Thunder. Most games with 5 turnovers and no point. Rajon Rondo is claimed to have pulled off this bizarre line 4 times. 5 or more turnovers and 0 points. That's not just rare. That's so rare, you need a search party to find another player who's done it even once. But based on Rondo's career, it tracks. Rondo played 957 regular season games and turned the ball over 2,586 times. That's 2.7 per game. And he had stretches, like in Sacramento, where he averaged almost 4. Scoring was never the priority. He finished with a career average of just under 10 points and had plenty of games with no buckets, especially later in his career. So 4 games with 5 turnovers and 0 points? Completely believable. He passed a ton, shot sparingly, and wasn't scared of a box score that looked like a buffet sampler. Compared to other point guards, Rondo had the lowest points per turnover average among players with over 800 games. That makes him a perfect candidate for this awkward stat line. Longest active playoff series win drought. The Charlotte Hornets have now gone 23 seasons without winning a single playoff series. That's the longest active streak in the NBA, and it stretches all the way back to the early 2000s. Their last series win came in the 2002 postseason when they beat the Orlando Magic 3-1. Since then, 4 first-round exits and a whole lot of disappointment. They've appeared in the playoffs just 10 times in 35 total seasons. 0 trips to the Eastern Conference Finals, 0 finals appearances. Their entire franchise has just 4 playoff series wins. That's not great math, but change is happening. Michael Jordan sold his majority stake in 2023, handing things over to Rick Schnall and Gabe Plock. They brought in Jeff Peterson as general manager and tapped Charles Lee to coach. He was an assistant with the Celtics. On the court, they've leaned into young talent like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and shuffled the roster to reset the timeline. Still, 23 seasons is a lot. The Kings are second with 21, but right now, Charlotte owns the crown, and it's made of frustration. Most three-point attempts without a make in a playoff game. 3 players, John Starks, James Harden, and Anthony Edwards, share this infamous playoff record: 11 three-point attempts, 0 makes. That's a special kind of cold. Starks did it first, and in the worst possible moment. Game 7 of the 1994 NBA Finals. He went 2 for 18 from the field and 0 for 11 from deep. The Knicks lost to Houston, and that shooting performance has haunted highlight reels ever since. Then came Harden. In 2018, the Rockets met the Warriors in the Western Conference Finals. Game 7, Harden went 0 for 11 from 3, part of Houston's stretch of 27 straight misses from beyond the arc. The Rockets lost by 9. Harden's struggles fed into the larger collapse, and the dynasty dream ended right there. Most recently, Edwards joined the club in April 2025. He launched 11 threes against the Lakers and missed every single one. Minnesota fell short in that one too, 98-105. 3 players, 11 misses, 0 conversions. A tough reminder that even stars can shoot their team right out of the playoffs, 1 brick at a time. Fewest team rebounds in a game. On January 31st, 2014, the Brooklyn Nets recorded just 17 rebounds in a loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder, setting the NBA record for the lowest single-game total in the shot clock era. The Nets grabbed only 3 offensive and 14 defensive rebounds. That's not a typo. That's a collapse. Oklahoma City shot a blistering 63.6%, meaning there just weren't many misses to rebound. Meanwhile, Brooklyn wasn't exactly crashing the glass either, pulling down only 3 of their 39 offensive rebound chances. This wasn't a team known for rebounding to begin with. They ranked near the bottom in both defensive and offensive rebound percentages that season. Brook Lopez was injured, Kevin Garnett was aging, and no one on the court managed more than 5 rebounds in that game. The Thunder, on the other hand, dominated the glass with 41 rebounds. Kevin Durant and Serge Ibaka bullied the paint. Brooklyn's total was 24 fewer than their opponent and over 50% below league expectations based on the pace and missed shots. No team has beaten this record through 2025. It's one of those feats that's almost impressive, just in the worst way possible. Most career games with no steals or blocks. Joe Klein managed to play 15 seasons in the NBA while somehow collecting 0 steals and 0 blocks in 574 games. That's not easy. You'd think a 7-foot guy would trip into a block once in a while, or maybe just accidentally steal the ball by existing. But nope, he stayed in his lane, set screens, boxed out, grabbed some boards, and politely declined any stat padding. His role was crystal clear: be big, take up space, and never even think about chasing guards around. He averaged 4.8 points, 4.1 rebounds, and a grand total of 0.3 blocks and 0.2 steals per game. That means when someone yelled help on defense, Joe probably just nodded and stayed where he was. But he wasn't useless. He played for multiple teams, won a championship with the Bulls in 1998, and even grabbed an Olympic gold medal in 1984. His record's not glamorous, but it's oddly perfect. It shows how someone can last a decade and a half in the league without ever pretending to be something they're not. Most turnovers. In a single season, James Harden turned the ball over 464 times in the 2016 to 2017 season. That's the most in NBA history. It wasn't even close. He played 81 games and averaged 5.7 turnovers every time he stepped on the court. That's basically like donating 5 possessions to the other team before tip-off. And the wild part, that whole top 5 list is just Harden and Russell Westbrook trading the ball like it's a hot potato. They own every single one of those top 5 turnover seasons. Harden's historic number came during his first full season as the Rockets' point guard. He led the league in assists, scored nearly 30 a game, and still had enough energy to cough the ball up more than anyone ever. But his usage rate was sky high. The guy had the ball all the time, making wild passes, running pick and rolls, launching threes, and getting double teamed into oblivion. So yeah, the turnovers piled up. Still, the Rockets won 55 games and finished 3rd in the West, Say what you want about the giveaways, he ran that offense from start to finish, and the numbers show it. Most three-point attempts without a make. The Denver Nuggets bricked their way into history on December 16, 2012, by going 0 for 22 from three-point range against the Portland Trail Blazers. Not one. Not a single shot fell. It was like someone had placed an invisible lid on the rim every time they stepped back behind the line. Despite this complete breakdown from deep, they actually kept the game close, losing only 101-93. How? They demolished Portland in the paint, outscoring them 74-28 and snagging more rebounds, 59-50. So yes, they got everything else right, except the part where the ball had to travel more than 23 feet. The previous worst was 0 for 20 by the Washington Bullets way back in the early 90s. But the Nuggets said, let's go worse. What's funny is, this wasn't a team that had no shooters. It just wasn't their day. They launched 22 threes and not a single one connected. It became the ultimate cold streak, the sort of performance that makes every coach clutch their playbook just a little tighter most games. With no rebounds by a center, Robin Lopez might have pulled off something no one else really wants credit for. 23 games where he played 10 or more minutes and grabbed exactly 0 rebounds. That's right, a 7-footer out there getting cardio while the ball bounced around. Lopez averaged just 4.7 rebounds over nearly 1,000 games. That's fine if you're a shooting guard. For a center, not exactly parade-worthy. But to be fair, Robin was a known box-out guy. He'd seal his man off like he was doing a chore and let teammates collect the numbers. Still 23 games without even one rebound? That's like skipping dessert at 23 birthday parties. His role shrank even more late in his career, making these empty rebounding nights easier to rack up. What really seals it is that his brother Brooke also had multiple 0 rebound games in over 30 minutes. It must run in the family. If this stat holds, Robin Lopez owns a record no other big man's even trying to chase. Lowest scoring overtime period. On November 18, 2022, the Washington Wizards and Miami Heat combined for a total of 5 points in overtime. Yep, just 5. That's the fewest ever scored in an NBA overtime period. The Wizards squeaked out a 3-2 win in the extra frame, turning the game into something closer to a wrestling match than a basketball shootout. After Kyle Kuzma hit a free throw 2 minutes and 48 seconds left, the scoreboard might as well have been unplugged. Neither team scored again. Not a layup, not a jumper, not even a fluke bank shot. Just a lot of clanks, turnovers, and defensive chaos. Bradley Beal led the Wizards with 27 points. Kristaps Porzingis added 20 and 17 boards, and Kyle Lowry dropped a triple-double for Miami. But none of that mattered in overtime. The Heat were down to just 7 available players. Still, they managed to keep it close. That 5-point overtime broke the previous record of 6, and it did it in glorious, brick-filled fashion. Sometimes, history's not made with highlight dunks, it's made with missed shots and awkward silence. Most first-round playoff exits. The Portland Trail Blazers have made a habit of showing up to the playoffs just to leave early. They've racked up 22 first-round playoff exits. That's more than any other franchise in NBA history. Since joining the league in 1970, Portland's made the postseason 37 times, but they've only reached the finals 3 times and won the whole thing once, way back in 1977. That means most of those trips ended with a quick exit, usually in round 1. During their 21-year playoff streak from the early 80s to the early 2000s, they constantly ran into teams like the Lakers, Spurs, and Jazz, none of which were in the mood to be generous. Even during Damian Lillard's prime years, the pattern continued. From 2014 to 2021, they made the playoffs 8 times and went home in the first round 6 times. Sweeps? Oh, they had a few. This record's not flashy, but it's consistent. The Blazers might not always go far, but they almost always show up just long enough to leave early. Most free throws attempted in a playoff game without a make. On May 13th, 2000, Shaq went 0 for 12 from the free throw line. That's the most attempts in a playoff game without hitting a single one. It happened during Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinals against the Kings. And yes, it was as painful to watch as it sounds. The Kings pulled out a 103-101 win, and a big part of their plan, the classic Hack-a-Shaq special. Just foul Shaq and dare him to hit anything from 15 feet. He didn't, not once. And that strategy kept working because somehow he kept getting fouled and kept stepping up to the line like it was his first time every time. Shaq was unstoppable in the paint, but from the stripe, it was chaos. The same postseason, he set the record for the most attempts in a finals game with 39. He made 18 that night, which actually looked impressive compared to this disaster. The 0 for 12 outing didn't cost the Lakers the series, but it did give coaches everywhere a blueprint for slowing down one of the most dominant players ever. Just make him shoot. Shortest head coaching tenure. Bob Stack and Lou Heyman each hold the record for the shortest stint as an NBA head coach. Just 1 game. That's right. Both guys got a clipboard, stood on the sidelines, and then never did it again. Stack took the helm for the Washington Bullets on February 5th, 1997, right after Jim Lynam got the boot. He coached exactly one game, lost it, and that was that. The team brought in Bernie Bickerstaff immediately after, leaving Stack with a perfect record of 0-1 and a coaching career in the NBA that can be fully recapped in under 5 seconds. Lou Heyman, he did it first. Back in December of 1946, during the inaugural BAA season, Heyman filled in for the Toronto Huskies after their coach quit. The team lost, and then Heyman went right back to being a general manager. The Huskies folded after that season anyway, so it's not like he missed a dynasty run. Both men are immortalized for the ultimate coaching cameo. One night, one loss, and one oddly specific spot in the NBA record books that no one's exactly racing to take from them. Most blocks with no points, no rebounds, no assists, no steals. Keon Clark may have pulled off one of the weirdest stat lines in NBA history, 5 blocks in a game without recording a single point, rebound, assist, or steal. That happened on February 23, 2001, when the Raptors played the Kings. Clark came off the bench, swatted 5 shots, and somehow managed to do absolutely nothing else. No scoring, no boards, no dimes, not even a sneaky steal. Just 5 cold-blooded rejections and pure statistical emptiness everywhere else. The Raptors won that game 119-118 in double overtime. Vince Carter dropped 39 points, and Antonio Davis and Charles Oakley cleaned up the glass, which may help explain why Clark didn't grab a single rebound. Clark was known for his shot blocking, and in that season alone, he averaged 2.4 per game. So the blocks make sense. The zeros, less so. It's like he showed up, did one very specific job, and then vanished. Clark holds a record no one's exactly fighting to take, pure defensive specialization with a stat line that reads like a ghost did it. Most points scored in under 10 minutes. On October 28, 1969, Don Ohl decided 5 minutes was plenty of time to light up the scoreboard. He dropped 19 points in that tiny window against the New York Knicks, making it one of the fastest scoring bursts in league history for someone who barely played. He hit 9 of 10 shots, nailed a three-pointer, and added a free throw. That's 90% shooting in 5 minutes, which feels like something out of a video game. He didn't even need a warm-up, just came in, caught fire, and vanished like a basketball phantom. Ohl wasn't some random bench guy either. He was a 5-time All-Star and averaged nearly 16 points a game during his career. But this moment, pure chaos. 19 points in the time it takes most players to find their rhythm. It's rare to see a player make that kind of impact in such a short burst. OL turned 5 minutes into a highlight reel and reminded everyone that sometimes it's not about how long you're on the court, it's about how fast you can ruin the other team's night. Double-doubles with 0 points. This might be the strangest stat line to ever hit the NBA box score. Only 4 players have ever pulled it off. 1 double-double, exactly 0 points. Not 2, not 1, 0. Draymond Green, Josh Giddey, Thomas Satoransky, and Norm Van Leer all joined this incredibly weird and exclusive club. That's 4 games total. And get this, only regular season games count, and this stat's even trackable only since the 1970s, when steals and blocks started getting recorded. So yeah, it's rare. These guys racked up 10 or more in rebounds and assists, but didn't manage a single bucket. It wasn't because they sat on the bench either. They played solid minutes and just decided points were optional. Norm Van Leer even did it in the 70s against a Lakers team with Wilt, Jerry West, and Elgin Baylor. No pressure, right? Draymond had 12 boards and 11 dimes in 2024. Thomas and Josh each dropped 10 rebounds and double-digit assists without hitting a single shot, not even a free throw. All of them had low shooting nights, but still changed the game with hustle, passing, and some seriously underrated defense. This record is hilarious and impossible at the same time. Lowest field goal percentage ever. The Philadelphia Warriors shot worse than your uncle at a carnival hoop game. On February 7, 1948, they went 11 for 67 from the field. That's 16.4%. Not even 1 in 6 shots fell. They still managed 54 points. But the St. Louis Bombers didn't exactly break a sweat, winning 67-54. This wasn't some 2 a.m. YMCA pickup game either. It was an official league contest in what would later become the NBA. Back then, the league was called the Basketball Association of America. It eventually merged with the National Basketball League in 1949. So technically, this disaster still counts in modern NBA history. And what a gem it is. The Warriors weren't even a bad team that year. They went 27-21 and topped the Eastern Division. But on this night, The rim might as well have been a manhole cover. Even for an era where scoring was lower and shooting was clunky, this was a full-blown catastrophe. 77 years later, nobody has managed to shoot worse. A historic reminder that sometimes the hoop just says not today, most minutes. With 0 field goal attempts, Ben Wallace might have pulled off one of the strangest feats in NBA history, playing 48 minutes without taking a single shot. That's not one missed layup, not a brick from mid-range, not even a panicked heave at the buzzer, just 0. The game was on March 31st, 2007 against Cleveland. It went to overtime, and Chicago won 112-108. Wallace was their defensive backbone, but apparently allergic to field goals that night. He averaged over 10 rebounds and 2 blocks that year, with a usage rate barely in the double digits. He was there to set screens, swat shots, and inhale rebounds, not to launch jumpers. That night, Dung dropped 34, Gordon added 21, and Wallace just existed in the paint, like a quiet defensive ghost. It's hard to find anyone else who played that long without even looking at the rim. Compared to guys like Draymond or Rodman, Wallace makes them look like volume shooters. A stat line so silent, it screams. Most threes in an all-star game. Steph Curry took the all-star game and turned it into a three-point contest with an audience. On February 20th, 2022, in Cleveland, he fired up 27 three-pointers and sank 16 of them. That's not a typo. 16. No one in All-Star history had done anything like it. He racked up 50 points and snagged the MVP trophy for the first time in his career. All that while casually bombing shots from half court like it was warm-up. Team LeBron edged out Team Durant 163-160, and Curry was the engine behind that win. His 16 threes set a record, as did his 27 attempts. The whole thing felt like a highlight reel unfolding in real time. Curry didn't just break records, he shattered them with that grin on his face and a shooting touch that made defenders shrug. The best part? It wasn't some fluke. It was just Curry doing Curry things, except louder, flashier, and in front of a crowd that couldn't believe what they were watching. Most games with 5 fouls. Hakeem might have had the footwork of a ballet dancer, but he fouled like he was guarding with bricks taped to his arms. He racked up exactly 5 fouls in 257 different games. That's not 5 total fouls in a week or a month. 5 fouls in a single game, 257 times. He finished with over 4,300 total fouls and somehow only fouled out 80 times. That means he spent a lot of time with 5 fouls and just danced on the edge without tipping over. His foul per game average was 3.5, but he led the league in fouls as a rookie. The guy blocked everything, swiped at everything, and defended like every possession was personal. He was not backing down from anyone, especially not in the paint. Add in nearly 12,000 rebounds and more than 3,800 blocks. And yeah, 5 foul nights were basically his thing. It's a weird stat, but it fits him perfectly. Most minutes without scoring, 48 minutes on the court and not a single point. That's the record, and it's shared by 3 players who somehow pulled it off while still being useful. Wilson Chandler, Dennis Rodman, and Horace Grant each spent an entire game doing everything except scoring. Chandler did it in 2018 with Denver, missing all 3 of his shots, but still grabbing 9 rebounds and throwing in a couple assists. Plus, he had a positive plus-minus, which is kind of hilarious when you realize he didn't score. Rodman's version, pure rebounding chaos. In 1993, he played 48 minutes for the Spurs, scored nothing, but snagged 25 rebounds like it was a game of Hungry Hungry Hippo. Then there's Horace Grant, who went scoreless for the Bulls against Detroit in 1992. He had 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and played like a guy who forgot shooting was a lap. None of them even attempted a free throw. No scoring, no problem. It's a record that proves you can play an entire game, make a difference, and still finish with a goose egg. Weird flex, but an impressive one. Most turnovers, with less than 1 assist per game. Eddie Curry somehow managed to lose the ball almost 300 times in a single season while barely passing it. In 2006 to 2007, he coughed it up 295 times and averaged just 0.9 assists per game. That's the most turnovers ever by a player, with under 1 assist per game. It's like if someone handed him the ball and said, whatever you do, don't give it to a teammate. He was the Knicks' main scorer that year, putting up almost 20 points per game, but also made every possession feel like a high-risk experiment. He started 81 games, led the league in turnover, and didn't even lead his team in assists. He barely contributed to passing at all. His turnover percentage was 16.4, and he averaged over 4 fouls per game, just for fun. Offensively, it was either a post-up bucket, an offensive foul, or a ball bouncing off his foot. Compared to bigs like Shaq or Dwight Howard, Curry's combination of butterfingers and tunnel vision was unmatched. No one's ever turned it over more with less to show for it in passing. Fewest points. with over 1,000 games. Nazi Muhammad wasn't dropping 30 a night, but he sure kept showing up. Over 18 seasons, he played in 1,005 regular season games and scored just 5,827 total points. That's the lowest total ever for anyone who's crossed the 1,000 game mark. He averaged 5.8 points per game, which means he basically got you a layup and a half each night. That wasn't the point. Muhammad made his living doing the dirty work. He boxed out, set hard screens, protected the rim, and never needed the ball to matter. His field goal percentage sat at 48.6 because he only shot when he had to. He bounced around the league, suiting up for 8 different teams, and even won a ring with the Spurs in 2005. His career is the blueprint for guys who don't score much, but still stick around forever. Defense, rebounding, and being the big guy teams trusted to hold down the paint. That's how he earned his minutes. And hey, not many players can say they spent nearly 2 decades in the league. Muhammad absolutely can. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.